All right, welcome to the pod, and I know this is football season, but this pertains to basketball, but also football, and the NCAA in general. And I have a solution for what the NCAA should do after its absolute ass-kicking that it just took at the hands of the Kansas Jayhawk basketball team, and Bill Self in particular. I will let Pat handle the details and the arcane nature of the NCAA. I mean, he's going to explain it to us all like we're 5 years old. What the hell just happened? But Bill Self was charged, the Kansas basketball coach, as part of an FBI-led investigation into college basketball in a case that included days of testimony under oath at the Southern District of New York, which I actually watched. I was there. Multiple alleged violations. He was charged with 5 level 1 violations. 5.
The
school,
yeah.
Including him. I'm sorry.
Including him.
I'm putting them together. Yeah. The school was hit with 5 level 1 violations. All right, that's the prosecutor saying you committed 5 felonies, and the judge saying, looked like you double parked that one time. No coach has ever gone in with this much heat and walked out with this little. Kansas killed the NCAA. Bill Self killed them. Bill Self has won 1 million basketball games. This was like his Kansas Jayhawks against one of those old touring teams like Marathon Oil. The NCAA was athletes in action today.
Athletes in traction by the time it was over.
Pat, we weren't expecting much because the NCAA had created this IARP thing, which you can explain, to adjudicate these complicated cases. And as best I can tell, they put on the IARP committee a bunch of people who are like there's like career criminals going, wait, that's a crime? Hell no, I embezzled like $300 million. That's not it. They don't just not really care about NCAA rules. They seem to repudiate them. This is a total disaster on the NCAA, which wants to punish people, but somehow found a way to never punish anybody. But what happened here and how did this happen? Bill Self he's getting he already served a 4-game self-imposed violations by the school. He never should have done that. They never even should have done that. They won't put up a banner for the team, blah, blah, blah. Nothing. KU 100, NCAA 0. Pat, what happened? Explain it to us like we're 5.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, kids.
Because there's a lot. Listen. There's a lot of...
Yes. Oh, there's a lot. Sit down and listen. So, story time. September 26, 2017. William Sweeney of the FBI stands up and declares with bravado and drama, "We have your playbook, college basketball. We know what you're up to. We know how you're cheating. We've got the wiretaps. We've got the video surveillance. We've got the sting operation. We've created these flowcharts. We got the whole thing, and we're putting on this big press conference to say, we've got you."
Flowcharts.
Oh, yeah.
They did.
Yes.
They did. They had flowcharts.
So funny.
Yes.
It was a federal case.
It was a literal federal case.
10 dudes got arrested and convicted. They kicked down doors.
Yes. They busted in on people and put them in handcuffs that morning.
At 6 a.m.
Yeah, 26th of September, 2017. None of the people they put handcuffs on were the millionaire head coaches. None of them were the high up executives at Adidas. They didn't touch Nike. They didn't touch the big dollar agents. But they went after the middle guys, the little guys, the assistant coaches who stick their necks out to make deals happen. They found the playbook. They just didn't open it. They looked through a couple pages, said, okay, yeah, we see how this works. Okay, you guys, you're busted. We got you on wiretap. Everybody else, nah. We want 100% conviction rate here. We're not going to worry about subpoenaing Bill Self. Sean Miller, Rick Pitino, Will Wade, strong-ass offer Will Wade, Mike Godfrey, and nobody. No. We're just going to take the small fry. We're going to take the low-hanging fruit, and we got you, and that's it. That's the federal part of it. Now, and we could debate for days, weeks, months, as we already have, whether these were actual crimes.
They weren't.
But what they definitely were NCAA violations, right? Absolutely NCAA violations. We can debate whether they should have been as far as the efficacy of the rules. But they were NCAA violations. And so they gave part of the case to the NCAA, didn't give them a lot of the information. COVID hits. The NCAA, in its infinite wisdom, says, you know what? This is so big, we need to invent the IARP to figure this out. And so you have this off-ramp of totally different people who are not affiliated with the schools, who have not done NCAA processes, who all of a sudden are in charge of investigations and hearings. And guess what happened? They sucked at it. Shockingly. It's like you take a bunch of engineers and put them in the court of law and say, here, figure it out. Or vice versa. You take a bunch of lawyers and put them in an engineering firm and say, here, build a bridge. It didn't work very well. And they bought every cockamamie line that the coaches said. Yeah, no, we didn't. Wait, what? They were paying? There's no way we didn't know those shoe company people were paying people. We didn't know our assistant coaches were involved in any of these shenanigans. There's no way. And they're like, oh, well, they had compliance meetings, so they probably didn't really know anything.
I don't think they were dumb. I think they went to like the prison yard of San Quentin and got 10 guys. And they were all like, yeah, lawyer F me, man. Screw the...
Whatever.
People were like, yeah, put me on this thing. I hate the NCAA. You guys are a bunch of clowns. I ain't buying any of this thing.
I don't know. If you listen to some of these hearing calls where it's like, well, they had the compliance meetings. They had a commitment to compliance. So that's, that was the basic. And so, yes, when one school after another got off basically scot-free from the IARP, it was very clear that Kansas would do the same. And this is the last case. And now, thankfully, the letters I, A, R, and P will no longer exist. They shut down the complete incompetent organization as of today, whenever they finished that miserable conference call. It's over. Everyone won. Everyone got off. NCAA lost. Long losing streak. This is where we are.
Wow. Thank you, Professor Forde. I'm obviously I'm not as well versed in this case, but this just seems like it was was this a waste of 5.5 years?
I think it was 6. 6 plus.
6 years.
6 years.
Just a waste of 6 years.
Baby.
6 years. So the key point is Mark Emmert got so spooked by all the bad publicity of this FBI guy claiming he was going to wipe out all college sports in the Southern District of New York, which they weren't. The cases the SDNY brought were totally ridiculous. These were not crimes. They were only crimes because the schools tried to claim that they were crimes, that they were victims. The Louisville compliance director sat on the stand and said, this is an NCAA violation, and because of NCAA violations, we are defrauded. Then, when it was time for Louisville to argue their case, they said, no, this wasn't an NCAA violation. People went to prison. People got their lives ruined, all this stuff. The whole thing was ridiculous. But Mark Emmert got so scared of the publicity, he commissioned Condi Rice, ran to Condi, as they always do, solved this. They came up with this idea of a separate judicial system to handle this. And it was a kangaroo court. And so one of the problems we have here is one school that was involved in the FBI scandal that didn't go in front of the IARP, but went through the old school system of the Committee of Infractions, okay? Instead of going to this newfangled thing, they were like, nah, we'll just do the other one, was Oklahoma State. And Oklahoma State was accused of far less than all the other schools, and they got their 2020-2021 season, postseason ban. They weren't allowed to go to the NCAA basketball tournament. They wiped out a season for them. So if you went for the old school NCAA system, you still got cracked in the head. If you went with this IARP thing, you couldn't possibly be found guilty of anything. And that's where they blew it in a PR move, as they constantly do. And that's why if I'm an Oklahoma State basketball fan or I was on those teams, I'd be irate right now.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
And it's why so many coaches are irate. How the heck did they get away? Why did this happen? Well, listen, the NCAA did it to themselves. Like, if I'm Kansas, just sat there, Louisville, all of them just sat there and like, man, these buffoons, we'll take this. They got bad prosecutors, bad system. Great. We will exploit it. And they did. Good for them. That's the system. Who cares if they took the banner down? Kansas won. I saw it. Kansas won.
Yeah.
The enforcement staff wanted Bill Self. And Bill Self won a national title, got a lifetime contract, and got a 4-game vacation.
Yep.
And laughing. Bill Self, tip your cap to Bill Self, the whole thing. They created a new system that was totally ridiculous and undermined everything that they were trying to do. Is one of the most comical self-inflicted wounds. This was not taking the knee with 35 seconds left. That's what the NCAA just did. We're gonna get all these schools. All they had to do was take the knee and let the FBI do the work, and instead, in their infinite incapabilities, they blew it, and now they look like fools. I mean, it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny.
It is, except it is not funny to Oklahoma State and to Mike Boynton, who was one of the first people I heard from today after the Kansas ruling was broken. He didn't want to talk on the record, but I know how he feels. I don't blame him one bit. Like why on earth, on God's green earth, Oklahoma State was the only school to get slammed out of this when they had maybe the least egregious case of anybody. Just is such an incredible example of what a folly this whole thing was.
All right, so I have a football swing on this.
Okay.
Here's what they should do. Here's what the NCAA should do. They've gotten rid of this IARP thing. Charlie Baker is going to Congress, right? This week? Next week? When's he
next
going?
week, yep.
Next week. Charlie Baker. He's going to be a witness. Be a witness. Fight for the future of the NCAA. Make the case to politicians. Charlie up there arguing, making a case. Go get him, Charlie. Here's what Charlie Baker should announce and the NCAA should announce. We are dropping the Jim Harbaugh case right now. And we are dropping any other case that's in the middle. One of the reasons we are getting absolutely destroyed by Congress, by the public, why these politicians look at us with no credibility, is because we can't enforce our own rules. Our own rules are so selectively enforced, so ridiculously enforced, so haphazardly, that if you're a politician from Oklahoma, you would say, hey, what the hell, man? Our school got thrown out of the NCAA basketball tournament for allegations of misdemeanors for less of a case, and all these other schools got nothing, ostensibly, for much more serious cases. And that's why they have no credibility. No fan base in the country trusts the NCAA to do anything. The own people, no coach trusts them. No athletic director really trusts them. Everybody looks at the same way because they can't do this. And now they say, well, we've come up with a new system now. This is the last system didn't work. And we created the last system because we didn't think the other system didn't work. So but now, right? You have Jim Harbaugh, who violated rules. Number 2 team in the country. These aren't amateurism rules. We are not of the case where it's going, it's just a hamburger. It wasn't just a hamburger. You can't meet with recruits during this period. You can't meet with recruits. If you're an NFL coach, you can't meet with free agents until the deadline. You can't meet with that, right? These are basic rules that would exist no matter what the NCAA rulebook. But you have Jim Harbaugh taking a 3-game suspension, and the NCAA saying that's not enough. You met with 2 recruits, and you have all these cases involving all these other guys, and they're basically walking away, and Bill Self 4-game suspension for all of the, and they're basically going, these aren't fire, these aren't level ones. You got to drop all this for the sake of your credibility and reboot the whole system. To continue to go after, and there's other cases, I'm sure. I'm just thinking of the Harbaugh one because it's the most prominent one this season. But you are continually going to the absolute wall to bust Jim Harbaugh for meeting with 2 recruits and watching some guys work out on a Zoom. To the point where a 4-game agreed upon suspension was not enough. Then when they give him 3, that's not enough. We're going to crush this guy. We're going to keep going after this guy at the exact same time that you can't get the other guys. And nobody wants to hear this is the IARP, this is the committee of infraction, blah, blah, blah. If Charlie Baker wants the NCAA to exist, he needs to come clean and try to create some credibility in the public and with politicians. And constantly trying to do these dual systems where one school's getting crushed and one school isn't, and nothing makes sense, is not it. It's not the most important thing in the world, but he should just come clean at this thing and say, we're trying to reboot it all because this is a total disaster. What just happened to us, it's not a disaster for the fans. It's not a disaster for the sport. It's disaster for any credibility of the NCAA. It's why nobody trusts him. Will he do that, Ross?
I don't I don't believe so. But, it's been a long talked about thing and suggested by administrators for years that the NCAA should not be in the infractions process, that they should hire out a third party. And I don't know if you could consider, I guess, the IARP.
That was the third party.
Yeah, I guess that's what it was, and it didn't work out real well. But maybe we should find a better version of the IARP.
They're asking for guardrails. They're asking for guardrails. They're asking to now police incredibly complicated financial transactions. They couldn't come to a conclusion on strong-ass offer. So when they get somebody to admit something, they try to crush them. We know you had the hamburger with those 2 recruits. We're going, no. We don't accept a 4-game suspension from you. We're going to destroy your career. Oh, but Coach Self, 4 games. Why'd you sit out that much? Buddy, you didn't do anything. 4 games for a level 3 violate?
You didn't know those Adidas guys were going to pay him? How would you know that? You've only been in this sport for 35 years. You don't have any idea how the sausage is actually made? No.
Wait, TJ Gasnola's like your best friend? Who knew? You just liked him. He's a funny guy. It's common for the Kansas basketball coach's best friend to live up in Springfield, Mass.
Yeah. Nobody knew how TJ Gasnola did business, did they? Oh, yeah, everybody did.
TJ is a pretty fun guy. I'll give him that. As is Bill Self. Pat, they have to, this is why they have no credibility. This is chipped and chipped and chipped to where everybody listening to this is actually cheering on, most people are cheering on Kansas because it's so damn funny.
Well, this is a good provocative podcast point you're making. Like, just stop the investigations, let everybody off, reboot, start it. But what's the reboot? What are you going to do?
I don't know, but going after Jim, spending all your resources on trying to bust Jim Harbaugh so he sits more games than Bill Self, that ain't it.
Well, okay. Michigan
could
have agreed. Michigan could have agreed to the draft notice of allegations, or else we're not here. They didn't. So, it's not
Kansas.
Like no, they didn't.
No, it didn't.
Why would you admit to anything?
Didn't Bill Self do the midnight kind of madness thing? Didn't he come out and he just kind of rubbed it right back into the
wearing the big Adidas chain or whatever, Adidas shirt and a chain. Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean,
Kansas
Kansas just strutted this whole thing. And then finally it was like, oh, shoot, we're going to have to admit something. Yeah. All right, Bill, take a 4-game powder. But that's okay. We'll be fine.
I would do a lifetime contract too. Came amid all this,
lifetime
right?
contract.
Yeah, the lifetime contract.
I would do a pay-per-view NIL. Money goes to NIL, pay-per-view, watching Bill Self pull the banner down.
The 2018 final. That is the 2018 Final Four banner. Allegedly, supposedly, does have to come down. So Silvio De Sousa, that was his one contribution to the program. That and raising a chair to try to clonk a Kansas State guy over the head, but then dropping it before he hit him.
I don't believe the Harbaugh thing is just a general example, but Charlie Baker has to stand up and the NC has to begin to try to rebuild credibility amongst nobody wants to listen to them. Nope, because they can't do anything. And to sit there and say we need more rules and more power and more this and more that, and it's like, dude, you had the FBI.
That's the thing.
We had wiretaps.
What's the most significant thing that happened here? Like basically the assistants going to jail. Right.
Well,
I mean,
that's significant for them.
The mid-level guys got crushed. Their lives got ruined. Their reputations, their careers.
Jim Gatto still is under. Kansas. This is always been my problem with Kansas, is they're trying to make Jim Gatto, who was their bag man essentially from Adidas, to pay them back money. Because that's where I lost all. I have no respect for that maneuver. I understand why they did it. But as an institution and as people, at some point you got to stand up and take the hit. You can't just be a total jerk and be like, I'm going to crush this guy. This is our friend.
I need $200,000 in legal fees of restitution from a guy who makes like what we figure out he made like $120,000 a year.
He made $120 and not anymore. He just went to prison for 9 months.
Right. I know.
So that's the part that I always found despicable about Kansas. All these rules and stuff, but they are still walking in like they think people want to hear from them. They think people are like, you know what? We need more. We need to give more power to the NCAA. Charlie Baker needs to be like, look, man, we have been horrible. We can't do anything. And you can't keep pursuing these other cases and then trying with a straight face to be like, oh, this is really serious business, man. This is really 3 games isn't enough. We got to take 3 more, 6 more. We got to put him out for a year. Let's end this guy's career if we can. Because why? You didn't do with the other guys.
They're not going to end his career.
But they're trying.
Are they? What is the ask here? What are they asking for?
They had an agreement, and their committee said no agreement.
They're asking for more than 4 games. I guess
4 games.
They're asking for more than 4 games.
Yeah.
The one part of the NCAA and Michigan agreed 4 games.
Yep.
And then some other part of the NCAA said, no, we want more. Well, you want me to respect that? Do you expect Michigan fan to expect that? I mean,
but like, I get your point, but let's not. I think let's pump the brakes on. They're trying to end his career.
Well, 4 games, okay. Well, what are they? All right, they're trying to put him out
5,
for a year.
Going to give him 6. I don't know.
They're going to send him to the NFL 3, and then he sat 3. Not
he
enough.
Served 3, then he serves 3 more. Okay.
Yeah, I think the max was 6, right? In the bylaws, like I feel like, or in past cases or something, it was like 4 to 6. So 6 was thought to be.
Although
the max.
again, as we have seen, all the bylaws and all the rubric and everything is completely fungible because they can change it however the hell they want. The IARP was handed 5 level 1s and said, no level 1s. Yeah, I mean, it's classic. I am not disputing your main point, Dan Wetzel.
My main point. I mean, let's make it less about Harbaugh's case specifically, but it's just the one that pops up because it's the one we're dealing with.
I mean,
you can't sit there and go, Bill Self served the same amount of time as we refuse to agree that Jim Harbaugh should get the same amount of time as Bill Self. And I know that they can talk in circles about all this stuff. People don't understand it. The NCAA is the NCAA. This is why prosecutors are foolish when they overcharge.
Yep.
Like you have to have some kind. You don't want to take that L, and they took a massive L on this.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I mean, look. Their credibility is in tatters. No, as you said, nobody trusts them. Nobody understands the differences in the adjudicative bodies. Nobody understands the differences in the penalties. And all you've got right now are people saying North Carolina's undefeated, Kansas gets what it wants, Oklahoma State gets smoked. What is going on?
Right. All right. We'll be back right after this message. All right, so we're gonna talk Oregon, Washington, A&M, Tennessee, USC, Notre Dame, Miami, North Carolina, and UCLA, Oregon State later, among others. And then we'll have locks of the week. So there'll be other games. Other than those games, I think this has kind of become a fun little thing. What game most interests you this weekend, or you find interesting or repulsive? Could be. I think Ross picked the worst game last year. Right?
What?
You did. Wasn't it Ball State, Eastern Michigan or something?
Oh, yeah. I picked what would be the Mr. Irrelevant. Yeah, the last
right.
The last pick.
Eastern had a good day.
Pick it again?
Eastern had a good
this
day.
Week's
Yeah, you can later, but
Mr.
let's start with some
Irrelevant?
good ones. Do you have a game?
Let me start with a Let me start with
Smart guy.
Well,
you got a game you like? Go ahead.
I'm kind of excited about watching the Dana Holgorsen Bowl down there in Houston. Houston's not very good this year. West Virginia's got it rolling more than I think anybody thought. They're on a 4-game winning streak. They're 4-1, and Neil Brown appears to have saved the job for at least another year. And so they'll be down there in Houston, and Dana obviously removed from his time at West Virginia, but he can kind of spoil things. I would expect West Virginia to win. It is at Houston. I think West Virginia's like a field goal favorite. But the Holgorsen Bowl, bring on the Red Bull and other things.
All right.
Yeah, we're going to do multiple of these, right? So
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay.
What else we got to do?
Okay. All right, I'm doing the the Big Ten Westapalooza, man.
Yeah.
Iowa, Wisconsin. both one-loss teams. One of those two is going to win that division, and it's going to be the winner of this game. And as Dan has made the point that, like, somehow inconceivably incomprehensible, Iowa could average like 20 points a game and go 11-1. It's just, it's incredible. But here they are with their defense and their special teams and their, kicking them down, pinning them down inside the 5, going into Camp Randall against a Wisconsin team that is evolving. They're figuring out who they are with the new coaching staff, new offense. I think the Badgers are better, but, you get trapped in one of those Iowa games. All of a sudden, it's 13-10 in the fourth quarter, and they're punting down to the 3. You never know. But whoever wins that game is going to win the West and will play in the Big Ten championship game. So I'm interested in that.
Yes, the Big Ten, the MAC Plus, right?
Yes.
MAC Plus game. The Big Ten West is so bad. It's like I use that term because have you seen these Best Western Plus? You seen that?
Yes.
Funniest
I've
name
seen
for a
them.
hotel.
I do not want to stay in one.
I'll stay there, but you already say you're the best. If you're the best Western, so you bester Western. I don't. It's like all those hotels that are like, oh well, we also. It's like I don't know, whatever. Comfort Inn and suites. It's like the suite is just there's a chair. It's not really a suite. It's the same room, and instead of a second bed, you get like a couch, a little couch or something.
Yeah, a chair
It's not
and
really.
an end table.
Yeah, it's not really a suite. I have this very interesting thing that came to my attention. Iowa, obviously, their offense is terrible. The Department of Agriculture, I did not know this, but the Department of Agriculture puts out these surveys and stats on corn and really anything, soybeans, whatever you're growing. And I have the corn ratings.
Oh,
The corn, yeah.
Oh.
The percent of farmland, of corn crop that is expected to be excellent or is excellent. I don't know if they're already cutting it down. It was last month. I don't know that much about the thing. I don't know how it works, but so I have the Big Ten corn rankings.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm going to go state by state. I'm not including New Jersey and Maryland because I was going to take a different chart I had to look at and I was too lazy. Also, I'm sure you grow some corn there, but come on. You're way out of your league.
Hey, New Jersey, good cows, though. Didn't we learn that?
They have good cows. Yeah, they probably do. Anyway, the Big Ten West can't even grow corn anymore. Okay.
Really?
First place, best corn, 20% of the crop rated excellent by the Department of Agriculture, Pennsylvania. Penn State on the rise. Could this be something? Could this be a sign? Number 2, always steady. Ohio State, 15%. Ohio, 15% of their corn is going to be excellent. Number 3, bad on the field, good in the field. Nebraska, 14%.
That fits.
Right? They're holding up the Big Ten West. Then we have Michigan and Wisconsin tied at 12%. Illinois, 10%. Indiana, 9%. Minnesota, 7%. And coming in 9th and last place in the Big Ten states, Iowa. Only 6% of the state's corn crop is excellent.
Wow.
Brian Ferentz can't even grow corn, man. We're going to blame that on him?
Sure. Why not? Why not?
Didn't think that was coming, did you?
I did not. Hell of a surprise.
There you go. All right. I'm going right off the bat.
That's one that did not make the rundown for the show.
No. I've been holding on to that for like 3 shows. Amazingly, it didn't come up any other way. I could jam it in there. I'm going to give you a great one. Actually, it probably won't be, but I'm just going to do it so I can hype my man Jay Busby's story on this. Wake Forest and Virginia Tech, because it is the 9-year anniversary of the famous 0-0 end of regulation game between the two.
Yes. Yeah.
With the great meme of Frank
Beamer
celebrating 0-0.
Yes. 2 fists raised. Yes.
2 fists raised.
Scoreless tie.
0-0. It ended up going to double overtime. They went to overtime. Both teams kicked a field goal in the first, and in the second overtime, Wake was the only one that got the thing. The team's total yardage, 254 for Virginia Tech, 234 for Wake. Yeah, pretty ugly. So it holds a spot in college football history, the 0-0 end of regulation game. And Jay Busby on Yahoo Sports wrote a great and hysterical, talked to a whole bunch of people about it. Very funny game. Very funny game. So congrats, Wake. Can Wake duplicate that? I think they can. I think Wake will win that. All right, who's got another?
I got another. Go ahead, though, Ross, if you do. Go ahead.
Okay. I got one. It's not a great one. It might be Mr. Irrelevant, but it does include the number 1 team in the country. Georgia at Vanderbilt, 31.5 point spread. Now, the thing about this one is not who's going to win. It's if Vanderbilt will score a touchdown and break the skid. Vanderbilt has not scored a touchdown against Georgia in 4 years. It's been 12 quarters of football without a touchdown. And if you go really far back, it's been 17 quarters without a legitimate touchdown. Like one of the touchdowns came in garbage time a few years ago. So 17 quarters going back to like 2017. I think their game in 2017. So will the Commodores score a touchdown and break the 12-quarter skid against the Bulldogs? That should be in race for the case. Vanderbilt, TD or no TD?
Well, that's prop bet. You can prop bet it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I like that. And I did have one AD who described his interpretation of Kirby Smart was he seems like the kind of guy who likes to burn ants with a magnifying glass, which means he would really enjoy keeping Vanderbilt without a touchdown for another year, I think.
How about that? Yeah. Did he ever respond to Mark Stoops? I didn't see anything.
Not to my knowledge. I don't know.
Just letting that one go. All right. Pad, what
All
you
right.
got?
My other game, this is a banana peel game. This is an open manhole cover game. This is you're walking along, you think your life is great, and all of a sudden, whoop! What happened? That's Louisville at Pittsburgh. Louisville undefeated, flying high after beating Notre Dame. Emotional letdown. Pitt had a week off, changing starting quarterbacks. If that works out, I don't think Pitt is as bad as the 1-4 team they are. I think that could be a close game and a real upset chance for the Panthers.
That's interesting. There's really is a kind of dearth of. There's not a lot of depth to this week.
No,
it's not the depth. I'm going to take an obvious one. Wyoming at Air Force. Of course, I got to take
good.
Wyoming. But that is for the Mountain West, first place in the Mountain West. Wyoming is 4-1, 5-1. They beat Fresno last week to get an inside track of the Mountain West. They have lost to Texas, but they're 5-1. Air Force is 5-0, but they have really not played anybody any good. I think they have one of the worst strength of schedules. Game is at Colorado Springs.
Falcon Stadium, baby. Played
Falcon
there.
Stadium, yep.
High school
Pat
playoffs.
10 games there. You're a big fan. Yeah, it's going to be a big game. Whoever wins that's going to have sort of a, again, another leg up to win the Mountain West. Wyoming's playing very well lately, but both teams are. So that's a really good game. It's 7 o'clock, CBS Sports. Kind of one that could get pretty interesting late. All right, anyone else got another?
Yeah, how about this one? Auburn at LSU under the lights in Tiger Stadium. Now, the Auburn-LSU series, okay, is just bat crazy. All right, it's freaking crazy. And it's going to be at night, Tiger Stadium. So Preacher Man's going in there, Hugh Freeze. I'm sure it's going to get wild, right? If you go back in this series, of course, it kind of started with the earthquake game when the seismograph went off at Tiger Stadium and LSU beat Auburn. I think it was like 7-6 or something like that back in the 80s. And the barn burning game, which is at Auburn, and the barn actually caught on fire. And mid-game, there's like billows of smoke pouring over the stadium. And then more recently, a game at Auburn. Les Miles' last game as coach was at Auburn when they completely, shockingly butchered the clock late in the game and lost. And then there was the Auburn game in Tiger Stadium that I covered, and it was Ed Orgeron's first year as coach. So it was 2017, and Auburn was up, I think they were up 20 or 24 points in the game, and LSU came all the way back to win. This game's always wild. I think LSU is an 11.5-point favorite. That seems way too big for a game that seems to be always tight. And also, we have to treasure these games because they're going away, right? If the SEC goes to the 9-game model, these games, the Auburn-LSU will not be played every year. It'll be played every other year, like every other game in the SEC. It'll be played on a 2-year basis instead of annually because they're getting rid of, or the plan at least is to get rid of divisions, and LSU and Auburn would not be permanent opponents, at least in the stuff I've seen. So treasure these games. Auburn, LSU, tune in, 7 o'clock.
Was that fire in the background? Was that the like the one?
It was a barn.
It was a barn, but wasn't there a fire where 20 books got burnt or damaged? And Steve Spurrier said
there goes
there's
the
like
library.
20 books said Auburn got burned, and Spurrier said the real tragedy was that 15 hadn't been colored in yet.
I don't remember that. That's funny.
It's one of his better lines. Yeah, I don't know if that was the same fire or there was a separate fire.
The dog.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to take another.
Here it is. Yeah, here it is. An Auburn dormitory fire that Auburn dorm fire that destroyed 20 books, but the real tragedy was that 15 hadn't been colored in yet.
See, that's it. It's a great line.
Man, he's Spurrier, man. He had the
lines, man. He had the lines.
He did. He had them. He had the lines cooking.
Here's the this I'm looking at this. Steve Spurrier's best lines. So I'm going to read them. I mean, it has nothing to do with anything, but what the heck, right?
Fire away.
Kentucky has a heck of a punter. I know that. Spurrier said after they beat Kentucky 54-3. Why it didn't work so well for him in the NFL. There are no Vanderbilts in the NFL.
Oh.
He said something about Jim Haslett, the Saints coach. I don't know why. I saw a story saying Jim Haslett comes in at 4:30 every morning. That's not doing him much good.
He was big on that. He loved the coaches who like grind and have like 20-hour days while he's like golfing during the off season. Then he beats them. Yeah.
He was giving a speech somewhere in Louisiana. He said, you can have good ball players and still not win football games. All you LSU fans know about that. This is from SI.com, by the way. Making fun of Tennessee. There are people in Knoxville and Fayetteville still doing cartwheels over going 7-6. Let's see. Jadeveon Clowney got a speeding ticket. He said, I didn't know Jadavion's car could go that fast. He doesn't have a pretty car like those FSU guys used to drive. You know what FSU stands for.
University.
Yeah. That was number 6. Okay, this was a shot at Alabama recruiting. In 12 years at Florida, I don't think we ever signed a kid from the state of Alabama. Of course, we found out later the scholarships they were giving out at Alabama were worth a whole lot more than ours. On Peyton Manning not turning pro. I know why Peyton came back for his senior year. He wanted to be a 3-time star of the Citrus Bowl.
Well, his like most famous line, right? You can't spell Tennessee without UT, or can't spell citrus without UT.
That's number 2. You can't spell citrus without UT. This is number 3. Yeah, this is when South Carolina played Georgia early in the year. I don't know. I sort of always like playing Georgia that second game because you can always count on them having 2 or 3 key players suspended. And then, number 1 was on a fire at the Auburn. There you go. Anyway.
There you go.
If we're going down rabbit holes, we might as well go down Steve Spurrier's best insults.
It's always a good one.
Okay. Speaking of insults, new Washington athletic director Troy Dannen. Did you hear about this one?
No.
Went on KJR up in Seattle, the sports radio show. And he was talking about how Washington will have enough money to compete, and it's really about embracing NIL and all this stuff. And he was making very good points. But he said this: if budgets won championships, now he's the new Washington AD. Washington is going to the Big Ten. If budgets won championship, Ohio State and Texas would win everything, and they haven't won much lately. Now, I don't know why you'd start picking. You can make fun of Texas all you want because you ain't got to see them. Brian Day is ready to fight a 78-year-old Lou Holtz somewhere in the streets of South Bend.
Yeah.
What do you think he's going to do with this?
You too, yeah.
Did y'all see the viral tweet going around? I think it was at halftime of the Maryland game when Ohio State was down like 10-3, right, to Maryland. And the tweet, I don't remember who it was from because I want to give credit because it was hysterical. And it was a picture of Ryan Day when he was on that rant about Lou Holtz. And it says, Ryan Day wants to know where the hell is 99-year-old President Jimmy Carter. It's just great. It was awesome.
Ryan Day's he's gonna punch out the AD at Washington.
Yeah, he's next.
All right, little hint, Washington. I know you're getting a little uppity here because you got the big game of the week. But I don't know how you know things get run in the Big Ten, but Ohio State is going to be there. Not win anything lately. Haven't won much lately. Okay. That will be brought up next year. It's an inauspicious start right there. Inauspicious start. Let's get to race for the case. Number 8, Oregon at number 7, Washington. Start with this. Washington given 3:30 on ABC. Pat, who you got?
This is going to be an awesome game. Last year's game in Eugene, there were 4 touchdowns of longer than 45 yards in the second half alone. Went down to the wire. Dan Lanning made a terrible decision that helped his team lose. This is going to be another slobber knocker like that one, up and down the field. I like the Huskies to win and cover. I think they're the better team. Their offense is ungodly explosive. Give them the home field advantage on top of that. And I think Washington takes a big step towards the Pac-12 championship and the college football playoff.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. Excited to be there and see the environment. I've heard a lot about it. Number 1 offense by total offense in the country against number 2 total offense in the country. They're each averaging over 550 yards a game. Oregon runs the ball a little better, right? Washington passes the ball probably a little better. No, I don't think any program in the country right now except them two in USC are averaging at least 8 yards a play. So it's Oregon, Washington, and USC. Long live the Pac-12, averaging 8 yards a play. Can't wait for this one. I'm gonna agree with Pat on this and say the Huskies barely cover the 3. I think this is a back and forth fun game that maybe is a little lower scoring than you would expect from the two best offenses. Maybe it's something like 27-21 sort of thing.
67.5 is the over under. Sean?
Yeah, this may be, I don't believe it's known by the pod, but I have a pretty substantial friendly wager on this game in the form of a beard growth bet.
Uh-oh.
So I need Oregon to win this. I would prefer Oregon to cover. That'd be great. My beard grows in patchy, and if Washington takes it, it keeps on going till the new year. So let's go with the Ducks.
So that's like a 3-month bet, man.
Stakes are high.
Well, that's some insight. They don't want to grow a beard. I get it though. You don't want to root against who you're picking. I like Oregon's defense. I'm taking Oregon. I like their defense. I know. A little terrifying. I'm going with the beard. I don't want him to grow a beard either. I don't need to be looking at a patchy beard for the next 3 months. Go Ducks. Where's Quacktavius? What's Quacktavius doing?
That's a good point.
Octavius is not making this trip. I guarantee it.
Texas A&M at number 19, Tennessee. Volunteers giving 3.5. 3:30 on CBS. Ross.
Well, just got done seeing the Aggies live in person against Alabama, which, as we discussed on the pod earlier this week, they had a chance to win the game. They're right there. But this one's on the road. It's going to be probably a pretty crazy environment there in Knoxville, and not that Tennessee is anything special this year. They lost a lot from last year's team, but I think Tennessee does enough to get this done. It really hurts for the Aggies not having their starting quarterback Connor Wegman, and you've got a Mac Johnson in that environment up there. So give me Tennessee to cover the 3.5.
Yep. This is less about the matchup and more about the setup, and the setup is all in favor of Tennessee here. Aggies coming off it's always a slugfest when you play Alabama. They're taking on Tennessee, which is coming off an open date, and they got to go on the road to do it. So I think fresh team beats tired team, and Tennessee's defense has improved so far this year. They will give some problems to Max Johnson, and I like the Vols to cover the 3.5 or whatever the number is there.
I'll take Tennessee to cover as well. They are running the ball very well this season, 17th in the nation, averaging 231 a game. Really impressive. And Texas A&M, it's going to be too much of an emotional dump after almost getting Alabama. You're still thinking about it. There is going to be a hangover with them. So I think Tennessee cleanly covers this game.
Same. I'll take Tennessee. Number 10, USC at number 21, Notre Dame. The Irish are giving 3, coming off a loss, a big loss. Game is 7:30 on NBC. Referendum on the Trojan defense, I guess. Pat.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I'm not sure on this, and I do think you do have a couple teams that are beaten up here. I mean, Notre Dame, I pointed out, I thought they wilted a bit at the end against Louisville. It was their 3rd straight game against an undefeated team. They had played Ohio State. They had played Duke. They played Louisville. And now here comes undefeated team number 4. Not the most physical team out there, but still another major challenge. USC just got finished playing multiple overtimes, and Caleb Williams took a beating in that game against Arizona. So, who's actually still got some spring in their step? I'm going with Caleb Williams. I'm going with USC. I have not liked what I have seen from Notre Dame's offense, particularly its offensive line, which was supposed to be really good. And so I think Caleb Williams gets enough done that the Trojans come out of South Bend with another W, and the Pac-12 continues to assert itself.
I want to pick Notre Dame here just because of how USC has looked in a few games this year, whether it's defense or even the offense at some point going into a funk. you're on the road, and this would be so Notre Dame to win this. It's like it's a roller coaster with Notre Dame. It was a roller coaster last year. They lose to Stanford and Marshall, but beat North Carolina and BYU and Clemson, right? So already this year, right? You won the game against Duke. You barely lost to Ohio State, and then got drubbed at Louisville. Like, I don't know what to expect each time Notre Dame takes the field. But I'm gonna side with Pat again. I can't. I want to do it, but I can't see. I think USC at least late, closes the game out. But I'd expect a tight one. But I'm surprised that Notre Dame is a field goal favorite in this. I thought it would be the other way around.
Vegas is tricking us. They're tricking us.
Yeah, I know.
They're doing their thing. Sean?
Yeah, they touched in with the source this week from Notre Dame. He made a he made a valid point though. He asked me a question. What do you think gets right first, USC's defense or Notre Dame's offense? And I had to sit and think about which has been more of an issue this year, and I would have to say it's USC defense. So I'm going to take Notre Dame to cover this game.
This is a fentanyl game for me, man. I don't know. I don't like either of these teams right now.
Yeah.
I'll take I'll take Notre Dame. No, I'm taking USC. Give me 3 points, and I got the best player. I'm taking USC. I wouldn't touch this game. I wouldn't bet it. I'll take USC. Yeah. I don't know. Number 25, Miami. Oh, stayed in there. I mean, hey, they kind of won. Did you see the things like the Georgia Tech kid who caught the pass slid before the end zone?
No.
They had footage of it. You remember how he kind of slid?
His knee was down?
He went into a slide. He technically gave himself up at the 1 yard line.
Oh.
Okay.
And there was a fumble.
The fumble actually wasn't a fumble.
No, it wasn't. The elbow was down.
Knee down.
Elbow was on the
ground.
ground.
Poor Mario. First off, they never should have.
No.
Don't say
no
poor
such
Mario,
thing as
Dan.
poor Mario.
I am. It's new me. I'm more growth.
Boy.
I feel bad for the poor guy and his $8 million a year.
This?
No, I mean he got.
Who are you?
Well,
what have you done with
he
Dan
almost
Wetzel?
escaped. I don't know, but actually happy that I don't know the kid's name who would have then blown it even worse play than the other. Anyway, Miami. I mean, if you slide at the 1, all you have to do is run into the end zone. Is that worse than not taking a knee?
No, nothing.
What's worse, not taking a knee when you're supposed to take a knee, or taking a knee when you're not supposed to take the knee?
When you snap the
because
ball,
it would have been knee gate. It's knee gate, which is worse.
The fumble was interesting though. I mean, there's a zoomed in shot of the elbow being down. I think ESPN talked to the head of officials and said that they made the right call according to the frames that they were able to see, which tells me I don't know if they were able to see this frame that now is circulating of his elbow down, but clearly his elbow is down and he still has the ball. So anyway,
Miami's at
give me the Tar
Carolina,
Heels. Yeah.
number 12. You're taking Tar Heels?
3.5. Give me the Tar Heels. I don't know how you rebound emotionally from something like that. I don't know. Mario Cristobal has lost confidence from coaches and players, but this is a tough one to rebound on the road. So Tar Heels to cover.
Yep,
Pat?
same. Drake May played his best game last week, and I think he's going to really light up the second half of the season here, so I'm taking the Heels to win and cover.
I'll roll with UNC also. They had a very good win over Syracuse last week. I know it's Syracuse, but still putting up 40 at this point in the season tells me that the offense is clicking, so UNC is going to cover this one.
Yeah, the real scandal with Miami is that they were even in a close game with Georgia Tech, so I'll take Carolina. Yeah, 3.5 not worrying. All right, number 18, UCLA. At number 15, Oregon State. Beavers giving 3.5. 8 o'clock, Fox. Pat.
Sneaky good game. Super impressed with what D'Anton Lynn, the new defensive coordinator at UCLA, has been doing. It's Anthony Lynn's son, and they've shaved off like 150 yards allowed per game so far this season. But I've been a Beaver believer all year, man. I picked them to win the Pac-12. I am not backing away from them in Corvallis in this game. They can get this done. Win, cover. Beavers.
Yeah, if this is in LA, I probably would pick UCLA to win the game in the Rose Bowl, but I think up there, Corvallis, DJ's playing well, pretty good at quarterback. They've got a good thing going there. So give me the Beavers to cover as well.
Yeah, feels like Oregon State's playing with some real pride this year, knowing that they were one of the two left behind. I think they want to stick it to every other member that they play that's going on to brighter pastures. So Oregon State to cover.
Yeah, same. I do like this UCLA defense, though, of all things.
Yeah.
That I did not see coming. All right, lock of the week time. Ross, you got a lock of the week? I think you got to go. Who's got to go?
I do. I've got a lock. I've got a lock of the week. I'm going to give it really quickly. It's the game Bat talked about earlier, the Big West Showdown, Iowa-Wisconsin. Wisconsin is a 10-point favorite. Come on now. Has the Vegas odds bettors not seen Iowa's defense? So give me. I know Iowa's offense might not score 10 points, but it might not need to. So give me Iowa as the lock of the week to cover the 10 in Camp Randall.
Well, this is interesting because I want to take the other side of that for my lock of the week.
Oh, all right. All right.
I want the Badgers laying the 10. The stat Wetzel had, I guess it was Sunday,
about the corn?
resonates with me. No, not about the corn.
6%.
About Deacon Hill, the quarterback for Iowa, who completed 0 passes to the wide receivers last week. 6 of 21, 5 passes to a tight end, 1 to a running back. Deacon Hall, first start on the road. It's at Wisconsin. They're jumping around. No, I think Wisconsin wins this like 17-3.
Dueling. This is dueling locks of the week in the Wisconsin.
Yeah, I'm not sure we've ever had that before.
Best Western Plus. It's the best Western Plus. Sean, lock of the week, please.
Yeah, I'd like to make it noted that I now have to use some tactics in locks of the week since I was sabotaged by Dan when he announced my record when I was in first. I have slipped since, and my picking has gone very poorly. So I'm going to have to use a Dan tactic here, and I'm going with the biggest spread I can find.
Oh, boy.
Taking the underdog. Give me UMass covering 41.5 versus Penn State.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Desperate times.
That's a fentanyl pick.
What in the world?
Oh, my goodness. Now,
what exactly are you
remember?
seeing out of UMass that is going to keep that thing within 41? I did once pick Michigan to cover, I think, against Hawaii, didn't I?
Well,
I need some of that magic.
We had that, and then, but remember
we
picked UMass Northwestern a couple of years ago. Oh, and I think UMass barely covered as like a 35-point underdog or something.
UMass plus 41.5. I had a bet once on a UTEP Texas game, and I was getting like 50, and it's pretty exciting at the beginning because you're like, dude, 50. Like, I got this. They got to score 7 touchdowns before I'm even nervous, and sure enough, it was like 42-zip at the half. I don't. All right, UMass taking him.
Wow, what a pick!
That is a heck of a pick. That thing comes through. I will give you that. All right, I'm gonna take. Let me get this proper thing. I am gonna take UNLV to defeat Nevada. Game is in Reno, but UNLV is only giving 9.
Really?
I know you throw the records out the window when you're going for the Fremont Cannon, but UNLV is 4-1. Nevada is 0-5 and terrible.
Nevada's awful.
I don't get this spread. This is the scary part is they set the spreads in Nevada, so they probably know more than I do. But UNLV is scoring points.
Yeah,
They had 44 against Hawaii, 45 against UTEP, 40 against Vanderbilt. They had
Barry Odom was a good hire.
They got destroyed at Michigan, but whatever. And Nevada scored 9 against Fresno, 24 against Texas State, 24 Kansas, 6 against Idaho, 14 against USC. I'm taking the Rebels. 9 don't scare me. So I don't know. Probably a dumb pick. They probably know more than I do, considering that's where they all live. But hey,
but I like the pick, pending what we don't know.
Yeah. All right. I'm excited to see if UMass can put that. See this Sean having a little action now makes me kind of excited.
Good stuff.
All right. That's our show. It was a little, you never knew where it was going. And we'll be back Sunday at some point, certainly for Monday's commute to overreact to it all. Should be a fun weekend. Halfway through the regular season, at least in most games played. That's kind of sad. Kind of sad, Pat. Kind of sad, but it's getting going.
I know it. We're getting there.
We're getting there. All right. We will talk to you later.